The Digital Photography Cafe show is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe show. Join hosts Trevor Current and Joseph Christina as they serve up the hottest photography news and commentary.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 164. I'm Joseph Christina here with my co-host Trevor Current. On last week's show, we talked about alternative backup solutions and our obligation to safely store client photos. If you haven't watched last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it at digitalphotographycafe.com and our YouTube channel, youtube.com/dphotocafe. Listen with the popular Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps, or subscribe through iTunes or RSS.
So Joe, we're back. How you doing, my friend?
We are here. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yes.
Doing well, hanging in there, keeping busy as usual. But actually, that is not the reason why this week that we are a little late with the show.
Yeah, we're 1 day late, right?
Yep.
Let's say a day late, dollar short. But big news this week, huge news.
Yeah, big news. That's why we intentionally delayed the release of the show because we wanted to put it out after the Apple announcement. There was a lot of rumors going around for a while, iPhone 6s and all kinds of new crazy stuff. So we figured, let's record the day of the announcement. That way we get it out there in a timely manner, so when you don't get it next week and it's dated and you've already heard all the stories. So
Yes. So really interesting Apple news. So they went back and forth, like you were saying, and there was rumors, and we all thought that, well, it's going to be obviously an iPhone 6 was coming, and it's coming soon. But there was one other thing that no one knew about, and there was speculation, but it ends up being basically an iWatch, but it's not called that any longer. It's called the Apple Watch. So that kind of leads me to believe that they're going to start dropping this everything and maybe start going towards an Apple this instead of everything. So it's kind of interesting. A Apple Watch, very, very neat.
yeah, I agree. I think the new products coming out will drop the I think Apple wants everything branded Apple now, Apple TV,
Right.
Macs, obviously, or Macs. But, I do think moving forward they're going to do that. It was really interesting. iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. So there were rumors there were going to be multiple sizes. Well, those rumors were true.
That's right.
The iPhone 6 actually has a 4.7-inch screen, and the 6 Plus has a 5.5-inch screen.
Yeah, that's big.
That's big. I mean, the 5 and the 5S had a 4-inch screen. So both these screens are significantly larger than the previous generation iPhones. I'm really digging the 5.5-inch screen. I mean, I'm blind
That's
as a
big.
bat anyway. So, I mean, more screen for me, the better. I can make things a little bit larger or what have you. But, I just like more space.
Yeah, if you guys can think about the size of, for example, a Samsung Note, which is about 5 3/4, that's about the size of this new iPhone 6 Plus, as they call it. So, yeah, that is huge. That is definitely a pocket buster. But I like it. I think it's good. It's got the Retina. They both have Retina display. They're both thinner than the old iPhones, iPhone 5, iPhone 5S. So that's really great. I like that thinness to it, and the screens are amazing. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous.
And what they finally did, too, the iPhone 6 Plus is a true 1080p screen resolution.
Finally.
So, finally. So it's 1920 by 1080. So watching an HD movie now will go full screen, utilize the entire screen. It's the right proportions. I mean, this is one of the things that we've been waiting for. But the pixels per inch is 401 pixels per inch. I mean, so it's called a Retina HD display. So this is even higher resolution than the previous screen. So
so just think about it. When we're looking at things on the web, they're 72 ppi, right? When we're printing, right, we want to do a really good print. We're printing at 300 about ppi. So this is at 401 ppi. So imagine how tightly crunched these pixels are. So it must look like butter. I mean, just absolutely beautiful, liquid
images.
Yeah, it sounds good. So you're looking at the what is it? The A8 chip, which supposedly 50 times faster than the original iPhone, which is crazy. And it's got the graphic processor in there that the GPU that they're saying is 84 times faster than the original iPhone. So I like how they're getting them faster. The thing the question during the entire time that we were asking ourselves was, how is this battery life going to last? It's going to be the new processor, faster, quicker, better screen, more pixels. Is it going to? Now you would think, oh well, maybe they can do something with this battery to make it last longer. Nope.
Yeah, I mean, they really didn't say
status quo.
Yeah, they didn't say anything specific about the battery, like new improvements. Battery life is always something that Apple is very aware of. They're, the latest releases of the laptops and everything. I mean, Yosemite is part of what's in its design is to help optimize battery usage. iOS 8 is designed to optimize battery usage. So, one would think bigger display, more powerful processor, it's going to use more battery, but hopefully the optimizations in the software will help alleviate that a little bit. Yeah. The physical size is larger, so they should be able to put a larger battery in there to compensate for the additional processing and screen real estate. So, hopefully, if nothing else, hopefully it's a wash.
Yeah, well, not just the regular A8 processor and the GPU, the graphic processor. Now they throw in an M processor, an M8, which that's all this processor does is deal with motion data. Right. So that's kind of interesting. So now they have an entire processor that's all it's doing. I like that because you're probably going to get a quicker experience because you don't have the one processor trying to do everything. Yeah, it kind of consolidate. Putting one thing doing one doing the other. Blah blah blah. I like that. I like that a lot. But once again, you're dealing with power at that point.
Yeah, you are. But you know what? They're really starting to move the iPhone into really being that gaming platform, I think.
Yes.
Forget about the DSs and all the other handhelds, and they're moving into the iPhone being a gaming platform. Now we've got true HD resolution, crazy fast processors. The game developers are already getting on board to utilize this new technology. The new hardware. So, I think we're going to see some really amazing games coming out.
Yeah, they showed one, I think, during the whole keynote and everything, and it was amazing. Yeah. I mean, it looked, it was just simply amazing.
I mean, they're saying that absolutely this is beautiful, going to be comparable to desktop consoles, console games and
or
stuff.
Better.
Or better.
They're even saying better, which is nuts, absolutely nuts. So yeah, it's kind of neat having that M8 that's doing the accelerometer, that's doing a gyroscope, that's doing the compass, that's doing everything, kind of on the side. So that's cool. So what else is really kind of neat that I know you're very interested in is VoIP, the whole idea of voice over IP. And now we're doing just standard calling right over Wi-Fi, which can be a game changer, right?
Yeah, and I wonder, it really can. I mean, I know here in my office, the cell reception is not great. Even though I'm in an area with good LTE, I'm in a brick building. I'm in a concrete building, and it really just kills the reception. Yeah. So now what they're doing is allowing you to make standard calls over Wi-Fi. So I've got great Wi-Fi here in the office. And in fact, it's even better now. And it's using the 802.11 AC protocol. Yes. So it's the faster version of Wi-Fi, which is going to be even better. So that's really exciting. I mean, right now I use Skype for a lot of business calling. We actually discussed this on one of the shows a while back. And the reason being is because my cell connection has always been so crappy.
Yeah.
So, but this really changes things because now I could actually, just do normal voice dialing, normal voice calls, but through the Wi-Fi network and have a really good, clear connection.
Yeah, you can't beat that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So as far as the camera, we all want to know about what does it look like? What is the camera? What are the specs on it? It's got 1.2, I guess, on the front side. On the back side, it's going to have the 8 megapixel iSight camera, which is great. Aperture is at 2.2, so it is going to be letting in a lot of light. And I think they reworked the sensor altogether. And now, instead of the old way of doing autofocus, now they're actually doing phase detection autofocus, which is really, really interesting. That's what we talked about 2 years ago, where we were saying eventually video cameras, you're going to be able to just touch the back of a screen and then put the finger on, let's say, the nose of your child, and as they're running around, just constantly move your finger around that screen, and it'll continuously pull focus where your finger is. And that's where we're at now.
Yeah, this is really good. And in fact, it has constant auto focusing now too, like a video camera. Now it will track the subject and constantly keep that subject in focus, which is really cool. I like that a lot. I mean, they boasted how this is a feature found on many pro DSLRs.
They're not kidding.
And they really, they were saying that the iPhone has become the replacement for the point and shoot.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
in many cases, it's become a replacement for larger format cameras. People that used to truck around, let's say amateurs that would truck around the DSLRs because they wanted to have this great camera. A lot of them have even foregone that and just used their mobile device.
Yeah.
So now you get even better resolution. You're able to do 43 megapixel panos. That's just nuts too.
That's pretty big. And they showed a pano, and oddly they used one of the ocean. And we know that doing a pano, it's taking it's striping in a whole bunch of shots and then putting them together into this panograph. But so to do a pano right, you want to do something stationary. To do water or it's very difficult to do. But they did a beach scene, which was really odd, but it came out really good. Almost scary. It's like, how is that even possible? But they matched it all up. It looks great.
Yeah, there's a lot of back end processing going on here.
Oh my God. Absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. So, moving on, I like the idea of the new image stabilization. It has that now all of a sudden you have an image stabilization processor that's allowing you to do low light stuff that before, we all know you take a picture and you don't use the flash on the camera because the flash never looks great. So you don't use the flash and you're hand holding and you're looking at it. You're like, why is every picture blurry?
Yeah.
Well, that might all be gone, right, with the 6.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. The new powerful chip, they're able to do a lot more processing. And really, I guess, with this new image stabilization technology they're incorporating in there, supposedly make a real difference. I know I've tried shooting stuff in low light without the flash, and it's not good. It's
brutal.
Good. It's not even like passable. It was just poor. And I'm on the iPhone 5. The iPhone 5S, maybe it's a little bit better, but this supposedly is going to make a big difference. I guess the proof is in the pudding. We'll see when it actually comes out and start seeing some, real world samples.
So they're saying faster autofocus, next generation local tone mapping, which is huge, and advanced noise reduction. Yep. Advanced noise reduction, we know that major camera manufacturers out there, the DSLRs, are doing a lot of noise reduction on the back end. You could control how much of that it does, but it does do some. Even if you turn it off, it's still doing some. Yep. So it's kind of neat. So I can definitely, this processor is doing, like you said, a lot of work. That is for sure. But it seems like the results that they're showing, it looks good. And they're showing a lot of really good looking pictures. And they showed one that was a low light. I think it was by a beach or something. And there was, it was a very hard shot. And it would be a hard shot even for a DSLR to do on auto. and it was backlit. The people were backlit, but yet there in the front, the light was still good. It really captured the tonality really, really well. It didn't blow out the highlights, and it really had a good amount of resolution in the low lights. So I was impressed. I'm like, geez, you could do this with an iPhone. I mean, pretty soon we're going to be out of business. I don't know. It's really that good. It was really good. So,
that's the thing. I mean, the technology is taking us places now that we weren't able to go before. Yeah. And for the average person, they're able to create shots that they were never able to do before, and they're very excited about it. So, of course, they want to do it all the time,
Yes.
And in fact, I mean, one of the new features is this burst shooting mode that detects, faces. So when you're doing a group shot, or you're doing even just a couple people, and you're trying to get a shot, and it never fails. There's always somebody in the group that's looking the wrong way, or blinking or something at the wrong time, right? So this takes a burst of shots, and then will actually recommend to you the photo to use based on its face detection, detecting open eyes and smiles, and
blinking smiles.
Yeah. I mean, that's again processor heavy. They got a lot going on there.
I think we should just call it the crap detector.
Yeah.
And it just takes like 8 of the crappy ones, and then the 2 that are like, okay, it'll show you one of those, and that's it. So, yeah, it's pretty neat that it can do that. You could look at them or not look at them, but for it to be able to whittle it down, because we do that automatically, right? You're clicking it over and over and over. One of them has got to be good, over and over and over. Well, it's doing it already for you.
Right.
So you don't even get all those blinks. They just don't even show them to you.
I mean, I've tried a trick in the past that's actually worked well, especially with kids, because you always get kids looking the wrong way and blinking at the wrong times. And I say, all right, everybody look at me and smile and close your eyes. And they're like, what? And then I say, all right, on the count of 3, open your eyes, and then they all open their eyes at the same time, and then there's no blinking. But, I mean, this takes that kind of little trick, I guess, and
throw that out
of the equation now.
Yeah, you're better than me. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to work. But you know what? Doing video, right? Everyone's multimedia these days, and all the DSLRs are all shooting video, and all the handhelds are all point and shoots are all shooting video. And the thing that we really want, that time lapse, that's been around forever, but what we really want is slow-mo, right? We want something that shoots high rate FPS, right? Frames per second. So now this new iPhone is shooting up to 240 FPS. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is nuts. That is borderline professional grade equipment. I mean, the high-end professional grade equipment is doing like 320, 300 and plus, unless you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and you can do higher, but still 240 FPS. You will see within days of this camera going out, you will see a ton of absolutely gorgeous slow-mo shots. Guaranteed. I tell you guys, guaranteed.
Well, you know what? The creatives are going to appreciate this. People like everyone that listens to this show, you and I mean, wow, 240 frames. We could do some really creative shots with that. But you know who this really is appealing to? It's the young people out there riding their skateboards. It's the young people out there jumping their bikes and stuff like that, because they all have iPhones, and now they're going to be out there shooting their friends doing, stunts, doing tricks, and playing them back in slow-mo, and we're going to be seeing those all over YouTube.
Yeah, and they're going to look amazing. It's going to look just like
awesome.
Like if they had a $2,000 camera sitting there. So that's cool. That is very cool. And of course, we said about image stabilization from before with the stills. It now also has cinematic video stabilization also. So that's great in itself. That means that it's shooting probably a large, let's say they're shooting at 1,000 pixels. I'm just going to use 1,000 as a number, and then they will give you, let's say, 900, and they'll shave those 100 pixels all the way around, maybe 25 pixels all around the 4 sides, and be able to bump and shuck and jive the image to keep it stable. That's once again, there's to the processor. That it can do this behind the scene, actually doing basically like a steady cam built into your phone.
Yeah, and the continuous autofocus, just like as with, I mentioned before, with shooting photos, you got the new improved autofocus. Well, now you've got continuous autofocus, so you tap on the face as they're moving. Somebody's moving through the scene. Again, great for sports. Tap on them as they're zipping by. You're panning with them or whatever. It's going to keep that subject in focus the entire time. Really cool. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I like it. FaceTime gets the rework, of course, because it has now the HD, let's call it, version with the new sensor, larger sensor, capturing more light. They're saying 80% more light. That's great, because how many times you do FaceTime and you look at the picture and you're like, oh my God, I can't even see. Can you like turn on a light or something?
Yeah.
Well, 80% more light, that's a lot.
Yep.
A lot more light.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Then we got single shot HDR photos. So, we've been kind of able to do stuff along this line before through apps and actually even the regular camera app, it'll do the HDR. So it's kind of enhanced. The new iPhone 6 and 6 Plus is going to come with iOS 8, which is really cool. iOS 8 is going to be available September 17th.
That's
for all of us to download. And the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus are going to be available for pre-order on the 12th, which is this Friday, September 12th, and they will be shipping on the 19th.
Yep.
Now,
the money.
The money.
How much?
The money.
So they dropped the iPhone 5S, which is what they do, right? Every time a new iPhone comes out, the S drops. So they dropped that down to $99. So anyone wants an iPhone 5S, go and grab, with your contract, $99, you got it. It's a great camera, great camera phone. So the 6 and the 6 Plus, starting out with a 16 gig model, $199 for the 6. The same 16 gig on the 6 Plus, which is the big one, like I call it, the Samsung Note size, is $299. And then they go up from there, all the way up to, I think it's $500 for a 128 gigabyte version of that Plus. So I can't even imagine if you didn't have a contract on that one, what is it, like $1,200 or something?
Yeah,
so
it's got to be really expensive.
It's got to be nuts. So at 128 gig, but think about it, guys. These are, at this point, I guess a laptop, a phablet, we can call it, whatever you want to call it. So they are full-blown computers, and like we're saying, gaming devices now with GPUs, with motion CPUs in there, and dedicated motion CPU, all kinds of craziness going on inside this little thin phone.
When you get the iPhone 6 Plus with a 5.5-inch screen, which is big. You've got the iPad mini, and that screen is small, tablet size wise, but it's nice. I mean, I have one. I like mine. But now you really kind of get to the point. All right, you get the big phone. Maybe you don't need the tablet as much as maybe what you've used it for in the past.
Right.
So now, I mean, you spend a little bit more money. You get one device. Maybe you want more storage because now you're going to, use it for shooting all your videos, shooting all your stills. You're going to have a ton of apps, At $500, it's cheaper than buying 2 separate devices, for sure.
Yeah. So they from that, they jump into security. And they're talking about this new paying method called Apple Pay. Yep. And it uses NFC. And, of course, Apple, like as they always do, they're completely ancient technology that's 3, 4, 5 years old that other phones have had forever. They come up with it, and all of a sudden it's the next best thing,
hottest
sliced bread. Yeah. Hottest thing ever, NFC. Well, okay, it's been around forever, but that's what Apple does, and that's what they do best. They'll take old architecture, they'll revamp it, they'll figure out what was wrong. What did you do with it? All right, that was broken. This is broken.
Yeah,
we fixed all that.
Yours didn't work, so we're going to do it different and make it work.
So, and that's exactly what they did. Yep. So now they have Apple Pay. It's funny. They say that it's the most secure, and you know what? It probably is. What I thought was kind of interesting is just like this week, I think it was, they had this big security issue. They didn't say anything about that, of course. Hush, hush. Where photos were, compromised, and there was, naked photos of all of these stars that somehow got off their phones miraculously. But let's be quiet with that. But the thing is this is going to be a secure way of paying. basically you do not need a credit card anymore. You scan in, you take a picture of your credit card, put in all the information into your phone, and that's the end of it. You no longer need that credit card. You can go stick it into your lockbox, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool because it incorporates with the finger touch ID system.
Right.
So it will only work if it recognizes you through that, ID through the thumbprint. And the information is stored in a sector of the phone that nobody has access to. It cannot get on iCloud. It only lives on the device itself in like this lockdown sector. The same as the fingerprint technology, storing your fingerprint lives in its own lockdown sector. So from that standpoint, it's really cool. There's you hear all these things about people scanning credit cards out of people's wallets in their back pocket. There is no doing that with this. It really does make buying theoretically very safe.
Yeah, or like, for example, you buy some fast food, you hand them over your card, right? They take it, they scan the card, but they also scan the card on this little reader that they have in their pocket, and then they hand it back to you in a split second.
Sure.
Now they got all of your data. The card is basically scanned, and they know everything. They know your name, address, phone number, the whole 9 yards, the account number, everything. So you don't have that anymore. It's very interesting. I like it. They got into it really in depth on how it works and what you can do and who's going to be using it. American Express and MasterCard and Visa are all on board. Discover, I don't know. We won't even talk about Discover. I guess they're like, whatever.
They said the three major,
The three major, that's what they do, and just hush-hush on all the rest.
Yeah.
But this whole Apple Pay will be available in the U.S. on October 2014, so it's right around the corner. So I like it. I think that it is cool. I think that they need to do this. I think that this type of technology has been around for a long time. Like I said, the Android with NFC,
but
NFC
Apple
has
is
had
now
this.
going to make it go mainstream.
Right. Everyone's going to know what it is.
The market.
Exactly.
Everybody's going to be hearing this, honestly, probably for the first time. Oh, NFC, what is that? Wow, that's cool. I can play with my phone. Because they're going to make it public. You're going to see commercials about it. Nobody else is running commercials in prime time, but Apple will, because they're going to promote the hell out of this new iPhone,
No, absolutely. And it will be the next best thing to sliced bread for sure. Absolutely.
That's right.
What's cool is the way they're doing it is they're doing one single dynamically generated like security number code or something with that transaction. So what that means, guys, is when you do make a transaction, not only does the vendor not know your name, the card number, your security code, any of this stuff, but nor does Apple. Apple doesn't even know it.
Nope.
It's one encrypted code that's one-time use, and that gets sent off. And if it's off, if there's authentication there, it transfers the money, and that's the end of it. So I like that. I like that a lot. It alleviates a lot of Apple's need to verify and keep all this information for 7 years, whereas the CIA can say, "Oh, who bought this or who did this?" Or like, "I don't know."
Yeah, exactly.
And they're not even kidding. They're like, "Yeah, I don't know."
Yeah,
exactly. I think it's a great idea, and it definitely promotes security. So, but anyways, we got a lot more for you guys. Before we go any further, let's go ahead and hear from one of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener.
Okay, so we're back, and what Apple event would be complete without the one more thing, right?
Yes, and that was actually said by Tim Cook.
Yeah.
And he said, One more thing. That's so, it's really nice because that's what Steve Jobs has done. And that's what he did for years. And that one more thing statement, everyone it was like a round of applause. There was people standing up, giving notice that, he's kind of tipping his hat to Steve that's gone now. So that was really, really cool. So
and you know
one
what?
more
there really
thing.
hasn't been anything that really warranted the one more thing.
There hasn't
since Steve Jobs passed.
Absolutely.
It's been iterations on existing products, but this is the first new product line, let's say, that Apple has introduced since Steve's passing. And that is the Apple Watch. We kind of alluded to that at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's really interesting device.
Really, really nice. So you would think in your mind, oh, what is it, like a nano strapped onto your hand? And it is. But
kind of.
But
then so much more.
Much, much better.
Yeah.
I mean, phenomenal. I would say it just that's all you can say about it. It's really, really amazing. So it's just think of it as a communication device. It does all of the communicating that you can think of that you want to do. You can use Twitter, you can do Facebook, you can make phone calls. It's basically communicating with your phone in your pocket. So you cannot have the watch by itself. It's not a standalone device. It does work in tangent with the iPhone.
Right.
But that's what the beauty is. It offloads all of the processing and all of the stuff that it's doing onto the phone. So it's really quite interesting. And the design, wow. Johnny Ives, he went and came out and talked about it and showed it and displayed it. And it's just, this man knows design, right?
Yeah, he really does. This thing is nice looking. Picture it's like a square face. And there are wearable items out there now with square faces, and you think, oh, big deal, who cares? That's, been there, done that. But Apple always does it better. They always sleek it up. They always make it a little bit sweeter. And they really did. The edge of it has the beveled sapphire glass. They've got the sapphire glass plant now in the U.S. where they're making their own glass.
Right.
Ultimately, I guess all glass production, I think the plan is will be here in the U.S.
That's awesome.
But it's very sleek. It's kind of thick looking. But then the band design, there's multiple different bands and different editions of the watch that you can get. But the band design is very sleek. The way the band overlaps, it's not like your typical watch clasp that locks and always gets caught in your arm hair.
That's exactly how it is. Yeah. So what they're doing is they're using magnetic, it's all magnets, magnet technology, let's say. So you have a magnet to clasp it, for it to come together. You have magnets that hold the watch band in place. So if you don't want the black band anymore and you want to use, let's say, a fluorescent pink one because you're going to some function, you just go ahead and slide out. It's magnetic, right? Slide out that watch band, slide in the pink one or slide in the fluorescent yellow or maybe a gold one or whatever. And now
it's
all
kind
of
of reminiscent of those Swatch watch days, right?
Very,
where
very
you could
similar.
Change out the bands and stuff. You buy one watch and then you go buy all these cheap rubber band things that go on there, these cheap plastic things, and you have all these different watches.
It's funny you say all different watches, and that's exactly it. So it has a flexible retina display, this front of this watch. So you can see it from every angle. Yeah. So it looks like a watch, just like a shiny, like a watch. But the thing is the face of the watch, you can customize it however you want. It could look like a Mickey Mouse watch. It could look like anything that you want. Maybe an old analog, maybe a Mariner watch. Maybe you want 100th, seconds on there, and you want your date time. You want everything. You want it to look analog. Anything that you want, you have all of this customizable quote unquote screens.
You know what I like?
Really neat.
They showed the traditional dial face. All the numbers in the circle, and they showed the big hand, the little hand, and then the second hand. And the second hand was moving with a sweep motion. It was perfectly smooth and clean. It wasn't like a traditional watch where it kind of steps.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very smooth and just amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful, beautiful. So we all know that on the side of a watch you have what is called the crown, and the crown is what you pull out and then you adjust the date. Or you can push it in
knob,
and you just the little right. Well, now they have the exact same thing on this watch. They call it a digital crown.
Yep.
This is basically your interface. This is how you actually move the things. It's your dial. It controls everything. And instead of it being mechanical, it's not. It's like it's fully digital. They're using infrared light so that as you're turning it, it knows how far you turned it, left, right. You push it in to activate things. It really looks nice, very fluid.
And it does have a touch screen, so they're not getting away from the touch screen, but obviously with a small screen like that, something that's going to fit on your wrist,
right?
You know, your finger, especially a guy who's got a big finger, you know, you're not going to have a whole lot of real estate on that screen to be touching stuff. So they kind of do a combination where you can use the digital crown, you can turn it, you can scroll, you can zoom, and then you can select things, and the selection is really cool too, right? Mm-hmm. They've got this touch and a press, and it can actually detect a touch or a harder press on the screen and react differently.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that you don't have that whole pinch like we have on the phone. Yet that's lost. You don't have that. But yeah, so since it is a flexible screen, they can get that touch. So you have that tap, you just touch it and it goes and does one thing, or you have that press and it does something else. You have two completely different ways of interacting with it, and then plus that scroll, that little dial. So and they showed it like working, like looking through photos and whatnot, and it was so smooth. It looked.
If anybody
like
watched
liquid.
WWDC and they reviewed the Photos app, this new app that basically is replacing Aperture, they showed you kind of, you know, this collage of images, like all these little postage stamp sized images, like your entire photo album in these tiny, tiny little pictures. And then you can zoom in on them and isolate down to one particular picture and then zoom in on that picture and scroll around it. Do the same thing on this watch. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so neat looking.
The processing power to do that is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And it looked flawless. And I have to give them, you know, it's like kudos to Apple, because this was a live demo. They actually demoed it, and he was wearing the watch, and he was actually doing the things, and put it down, that he was doing it, and it was being projected up on the screen. So it wasn't like some animation,
it wasn't like a 3D rendering or something.
Some rendering of what was going on. This was like literally going on. So if this thing blue screened, and died or went, then it would have just happened live. But they were that confident in actually doing it live, so to speak. So it really was impressive. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's sharp. Now, what I like about this is it is a companion to your iPhone. Right. So you can have your iPhone in your pocket. You can have it in your bag sitting next to you. I'm assuming that this watch is connecting to the iPhone via Bluetooth, the second iteration of Bluetooth, the latest and greatest Bluetooth technology, which has greater capabilities. And so let's say you get an iMessage that comes through. It will actually pop up on your watch so you can see it. So you don't have to go in after your phone. You can reply to it from the watch. Right. It's got voice dictation.
Siri.
And it's also smart to where it can read. It's basically reading the text message. It's looking for keywords. So when you go to reply, it can even give you a choice of words to reply with,
right? Which
is really awesome.
Yeah, it's like Star Trek stuff.
It really is.
I mean, it is, and it's just the idea of it being a companion to your iPhone is really smart on their part, because if they tried doing this as a standalone, it would be just massive. And the battery life would be hours, minutes, who knows?
Well, and you'd have to have a contract with some type of mobile service provider to get the functionality that you're getting with it. I mean, now it's connecting to your phone. Your phone's got the data plan. Your phone has the mobile radios.
Yeah,
you'd
your
never be able
phone's
to jam
doing
all that in a little watch.
Yeah, the phone's doing all the heavy lifting, and it's basically communicating
Yep.
with it. Now, one thing that I did like about it, which is something completely different than what you would have seen in the past, and it might end up being a new communication form. Who knows? But what it's doing is it will tap your wrist. So inside the watch itself, there's a mechanism that taps. So let's say a call comes through. Instead of it buzzing, or let's say ringing, it'll actually tap. Yeah. Maybe 1 tap, 2 taps, 3 taps, 4, whatever it is. And you can, and what's interesting is you can tap to people also. You can send them a tap. Send your friend a tap.
Yeah, kind of like Morse code.
Yeah, so that's what. So now they're reinventing Morse code.
Yeah, they are. It's the greatest thing.
It's the greatest thing. Morse code. Everyone needs to learn it. Yeah. It's
really cool because the underside of the watch, the part that actually touches your skin, there's sensors down there.
Yeah.
And those sensors are used for multiple purposes, but they detect your pulse. So it can integrate with fitness applications. Right. But and also on the bottom of it, that's where it taps. So it's like tapping the back of your wrist. It's really kind of neat.
I know. It seems like when they created this, they really tried to come up with a UI, a user interface that is just simple, right? But that's always the way Apple works, right? We want to give them a ton of stuff, but we want to make the interface extremely simple that someone 15 or someone 50 would still be able to use it. There's not this this crazy learning curve. So you got this one dial, that's so atypical to Apple. The one mouse button, Of course, for me, I want 3, but still, that's their model. That's what they do. The one mouse button people. They want stuff simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a whole new product line now. I mean, it's a whole new product category. Yeah. Are they first to the category? No, but they're integrating this Apple Watch with the iPhone. And what they did is they actually have a developer's kit to go along with this Apple Watch. So
they should call it the millionaire kit. What do you think?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, now you can specifically write apps that take advantage of the Apple Watch technology. So now they're going to be, it's called a Watch Kit. So people will be out there. I mean, it's almost like overnight millionaires, It really is.
Because all the major players are going to be like, hold the presses, stop that iPhone app for just 1 second. Yeah. Let's develop the watch side of it, and the iPhone app could be secondary because the people are going to be using this interface and not that one coming soon. So, the whole idea with this tapping thing, you could be, let's say, on maps, and you're walking to a certain location, let's say to a subway or something, and you have to make two right turns and a left. Yep. Well, as you're walking there, it'll say, it'll tap once, you need to make a right. When you get to the next location, it could tap twice, and you need to make a left.
Yep.
I mean, with no audible, there's no sound. You don't have to have the thing in your ears. You don't have to just by this tapping on your wrist.
Staring at your watch either.
Yeah, it's just it's very, very interesting, and it can be just revolutionary, right?
Yeah. Well, now Apple is cashing in on the health and fitness market. I mean, there are devices out there like the Fitbit and stuff that interact with your iPhones.
They're cashing them in.
They're cashing them in. Yeah.
They're cashing Nike Fuel in. They're cashing Fitbit in. They're cashing... Basically, these people are going to be out of business. That's going to be the end of it because, like you're saying, these sensors on the back, they have multiple purpose, right?
Yeah.
3 separate purposes. And what they do is they'll monitor, let's say, if there's 3 rings, there's a standing ring, an exercise ring, and a movement ring. And they will monitor these 3 things, right?
Yeah. It's really cool. And that's the thing. I mean, we've talked about in the past, kind of joked in the past about Apple kind of rolling apps that they like into the core OS and technologies that they've purchased from other companies that they pull into the hardware and the software. And they're kind of doing the same thing. I mean, I don't know if they're purchasing any technology from any other developer here or not. They didn't say. Yeah. But, I mean, basically, they're kind of almost eliminating the need for a Fitbit because you can now get it right through this Apple Watch. The
Right
same
through your
types
watch.
Of activities and stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, for us, like the standing ring, it will monitor how many times have you stood up, and that's good for us that are constantly doing photo retouching or on the computer. It's like, well, when was the last time you got up and took a break and walked around? And maybe it'll set off an alarm. Be like, look, 45 minutes has gone by. You have not stood up. Yeah. Get up. Then they have the move ring, which detects movement, how active you are. How far have you gone? What is that movement? What are you doing? Which is really cool. And then they have an exercise ring. And then that actually detects brisk activity. So it's running, walking extremely quickly, biking or something like that. So when you look at your watch at any time, you can say, well, I'm green on this ring. Well, this ring, I still got, it's 3/4 of the way for the day. That means I need to do some more brisk, walking or some kind of activity.
That's right.
So it's the same type of principle as like the Nike did or the Fitbit, all the rest, but now in a watch form.
Yeah. So the Apple Watch will require an iPhone 5, 5C, 5S, and then, of course, the 2 new models, the 6 and the 6 Plus, to integrate with it. All of those models, obviously, will be able to run iOS 8. So, you're going to be right in there. If you've got one of these devices, you're good to go. You can just get yourself one of the watches when they come out. They're saying that they're not going to come out until early 2015.
Right.
And the prices are going to start at $399. So they're not going to be cheap.
It's not going to be cheap. It's not. But you really can't look at this device as a watch because it's not really. It'll tell time, but it'll also give you the phases of the moon. It'll give you your Facebook page information. It'll also allow you to tweet out to your friends and get tweets in. Yeah. It'll allow your main watch to tell you exactly what Nasdaq's doing to the second. Yeah. It is an atomic
sports results while you're sitting at dinner with the wife or the girlfriend. You shouldn't be paying attention to that stuff and get a little note right on your watch. You're gonna just
no, even better. 3 taps, your team is winning. 2 taps, they're.
I guarantee you, some developer will take advantage of that technology, and they will be sending the secret alerts to people and stuff. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But so all in all, it was good. It really was. They had extremely. It was problematic when it came to the actual feed. Apple really tries their best to get these feeds out there, but the sheer number of people that want to see what's going on with Apple is just immense. It kills these servers. Yeah. So there was a lot of cutouts, a lot of dropouts, a lot of audio problems, video problems, things, you had to start again.
Keep refreshing the screen.
And it gets to be annoying. So hopefully that helps out. You guys don't have to actually watch it. We kind of distilled it down for you.
Yeah, it's 2 hours long, so be prepared. It was
forever.
If you do want to watch it.
Yeah, I was looking at my conventional watch like, oh my God, is this thing over, Trev? I mean, that's enough. We need to record the show already. They keep going on and on. Then all of a sudden, U2 came on.
Yeah,
they were singing. But what's kind of cool, if you guys want, you can get one of their latest album, right, for free.
For free. That's right. Yeah. U2 is making it available for free on the iTunes store. If you already have an iTunes account, just go in there. You can download it for free. I think they said until October, November, or something like that, it was going to be available for free. So why not take advantage of it? U2 is a great band, been around forever. So
yeah, go grab it. Yeah. So I think we're done for another week. What do you think?
Speaking of time and long events, this has been a long one. So we got to get out of here. So Joe, if people want to connect with you outside of the show, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Find me on Twitter, and that's at Joseph Christina, and that's Christina without an H.
That's right. And you can connect with me on Twitter. It's at Trevor Curran.
So, all right, everyone, we are out of here for yet another week. You can get all the show notes from this episode by visiting digitalphotographycafe.com/164. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/dphotocafe. And we will see you next week.
You've been watching the Digital Photography Cafe show with Trevor Curran and Joseph Christina. Subscribe to our YouTube channel with any compatible device by visiting youtube.com/dphotocafe. Be sure to subscribe to our audio feed through iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox Music apps or through RSS. Visit digitalphotographycafe.com for show notes and to connect with your hosts.